as you can see here, what we've got is a representation, a visual representation of the depth channel information for every pixel within our image. Black is closest to the plane of view, white is furthest away, and then red is infinite. And as you can see, everything has been allocated a level of grey depending on how far away it is from the plane of view. If we look up at the top, you can see that we've got an X, Y, and depth field. And as I move my mouse from the bottom towards the horizon line, you'll see that the depth is increasing all the time until eventually it hits infinity, and that's our sky above our horizon. But all the way across the model, at any given point, Piranesi knows exactly how far into our illustration effectively my mouse is. As you look to the right here, you can see that there's also a material definition field, and if I switch to the material view, again, ignore the colors for the time being. This is just simply a representation of the colors that are used. It's purely to identify the fact that there are different materials within this. It's not meant to look like the finished illustration at all. But as I move my mouse over, you'll see in this field up at the top here that it's updating. At any given stage, Piranesi also knows exactly what material I'm over from the original model, and those definitions have come through from our modeler. So this is why it's really important to just name or assign definitions to a material when you're doing your modeling. Okay, I'm just going to try and grab my toolbars. I think they might be hidden behind my NetViewer panel at the moment. Bear with me 1 second. Where are we? They're hiding. Oh, an important difference as well for version 5 that I should point out that's available through the toolbar menu is actually the help assistant. And the help assistant is a contextual help. For every tool that you choose, you'll get very short, succinct feedback on tips and tricks on how to use this product. It's really important when you're starting out with any software product that you have great feedback on what you're using and how it could be and should be used. And so the help assistant is a great little addition to the Piranesi library. Okay, so let's bring back our various toolbars. There we go. Hiding way down in the corner. Okay. Let's get our back up. Right, so we'll switch out from our material view back to our RGB view. And as we saw, at any given stage, Piranesi can very clearly identify how far into the image we are and also what materials we're over. So what I'll do is I'll go to my palette of brushes that I've stored, and we'll start to paint up this particular building. As you can see, I'm starting with a fill cam, which is obviously the least accurate of our painting options. And John, yes, you can have dual monitors. You can move palettes and windows all over a dual monitor setup. And Alvin, no, this isn't a modeler, so we can't orbit around our view. It's a fixed image that we're painting as we go. Typically, paintbrushes work, or painting applications work as you'd expect. You pick a color, and when you paint, it paints over everything regardless of it paints where you're going, and so you have to be very accurate with what you're doing. With the paintbrush, but with Piranesi, I can pick a fill can, and using the locks, in this particular instance I have my material lock assigned, it will restrict its painting to only the area on which I first click. So as I move over my building here, you can see up in the material field up in top here, excuse me, I'm over cladding siding white. Now there are various areas of cladding siding white, obviously, for my model that are all non-contiguous, but I have contiguous unchecked. I have my material lock turned on, and so it will, with this fill can, only paint the material on which I first click, in this particular instance cladding siding white. So one click paints the whole of the building. Now I'm in ink mode, so it's respecting the shadows that came through from my original model. It's not completely blotted them out. There are lots of different blend options. Paint obviously being the one that blocks everything out, but ink works particularly well in this instance. My next option is actually painting with an alpha channel. Now an alpha texture. The areas that are black let colour through, and the areas that are white block out the colour. And the colour that I've picked is a grey. And if I go to my brushes and setups over here, what we have is a preview of how this alpha channel is actually going to be represented. So you can see it's going to be a repeating line that goes vertically down my building line and repeating on the X and Y plane. But the important element here is that it's auto-wrapped. And what auto-wrapping is that it will apply automated perspective based on the 3D characteristics, the depth information that comes through from the model. And it will generate us an effect that looks like weatherboarding on the house. So again, one click with a material lock over cladding siding white will restrict the painting of these horizontal grey lines just to that particular area. So one click, and there we see it. And as you can see, it's wrapping and applying automated perspective without any fiddling about, without any perspective tweaking like you'd have to do in Photoshop. To my model in Photoshop, completely over that, the whole of that material area. Here I have a paintbrush, and this is a stylized brush which we can adjust and play around with the size and shape with, and effectively it's the kind of brush that you're used to using in other painting applications. Now again, I've got a material defined here, and I'm just going to use this to put a highlight over my building just to give it some accents. If I click and hold my left mouse button down, you'll see that it's limiting its painting just to the background area, to which I first clicked. It's a slightly darker colour than the colour I painted with, at a 60% opacity, and again it's in ink mode, so it's going to respect the lines that I've put in, the weatherboard lines. Now if I click and hold and move off, I'm still holding my mouse button down, but again it's not painting anything, because it's respecting the material on which I first click. As soon as I move back over my building, it will paint that particular area, and only that particular area. So you've got the basic idea that Piranesi, using things like material locks, Piranesi can start to restrict painting to just areas within my my model without having to create any kind of masking or anything like that. You can also paint with raster images in the same way that you can with colour. If I switch this to being a brush, and again I've got a material lock assigned, we're using a photographic texture of brickwork, and in this particular instance it's actually just a photograph of brick that we took when we were compiling together the libraries for the product, created it stored it as a bitmap, and it's within our library and we can call it up at any given stage. But this is exactly the same kind of thing that you can do if you want to walk home this evening, or a jaunt out at lunchtime, happen to see I don't know, a brick pavia that you like particularly. You can take a photograph of that, create a tile out of it, and use it as a brush within your Piranesi as well. And in fact, if you happen to have existing textures that you've got from other modelling applications or other painting applications, you could probably even import those. So if I click and hold here, you'll see it starts to paint with brick. So it can work on a paintbrush mode, but for this particular tool, I've got it set as a fill can, and I'm going to paint the chimney and also the footings. And as you see up in our top right hand corner, it's defined as brick common bond in both particular instances. So again, I've got contiguous unchecked. I'm going to click once on here, and it's going to paint brickwork on both areas. And again, like the weatherboarding, as you can see, it's wrapping that texture, that photographic texture, around my building. It's remembering the depth information, and it's applying automated perspective to the courses out to the vanishing point at the back of my building. Same kind of idea with a highlight brush, same shape brush. Again, I'm going to click on the bottom corner. You can see it anchoring to that particular material. Swoosh quickly over the building, and it will only paint the areas of brick within it. I'll just quickly whiz through putting some more raster textures and other elements within here. Again, this extra roof tile. You can see this is how you turn on textures on and off up here, and where you select your textures from that you can use. And Piranesi comes with about 2,000 additional items alongside the application itself, including raster textures, cutouts, raster brushes, various other library elements, all categorized in easy accessible folders within the product itself. All sorts of things. It's very much designed to be the starting point, though. It's important to note. A lot of people do limit themselves to just what comes with the product, but there are also extensive libraries available from other providers. Entourage Arts is a prime example of that kind of supplier. Susan Sorger, who runs Entourage Arts, has created extensive libraries of watercoloured cutouts and other Entourage elements for use within Piranesi and other painting applications. And they're available through the Piranesi website as well to purchase. But for this particular instance, we're using a roof tile, and again you can see that it's applied that automated